How would you create Jiu-Jitsu? What would you want to learn in your first month that you would need every single time you stepped on the mat? A boxer has their jab, a wrestler has their shot. What's ours? And more importantly, how would you teach it?
So this is a 6-week beginner course. There are people here who are already experienced, but they were easily convinced to go through fundamentals again.
Now I know you're not watching to just listen to me introduce a beginner's class, but there is an important reason why I made sure to do this alongside the more advanced students. I want to make sure I confirm the narrative of the club. I'll condense it down, but I essentially told everyone that this is Manchester United, or insert your football team of choice. In this, we are on the same team. This is midweek practice, and at the weekend we're playing against Arsenal. We play together here, give the best version of ourselves, but the goal is to make the other people on the team better. The defender doesn't hack out their striker's legs, they make them better, knowing that in turn it will be paid back to them. And this is important to me, that every single person, new or not, knows the rest of the team has their back, and that their progress matters to the rest of the team. This is a rising tide that will raise all ships, and personal progress comes from team progress.
That's all the rules. Okay, so the first part then of all this is going to be about balance and not falling over. Because as reductive as it sounds, the way to stop jiu-jitsu and grappling from happening to you is to not fall over in the first place. And so we're just going to look at standing up and putting each other on the floor. So when it comes to balance, the idea of balance is if I lose my balance, so Nak, I can borrow, so go to like butterfly. If Naki tries to push me over, essentially I'm losing my balance and I'm going to fall over and he gets on top. Balance is if I create a shape on the ground, so like a tripod, like here, I have a shadow on the floor. If you were to shine a light directly from behind me, I create this shadow shape, and that's going to be my base. And my balance is where my weight nicely sits inside my base. If my weight leaves the edge of that shadow, that's when I fall over. And so I want to try and keep my weight as central in my shadow as I can. I don't want to pinball my weight around that shape. So if I'm making a triangle shape, I don't want my weight to be moving around that shadow because that's going to make it easier for me to be thrown around. I want to try and keep my weight as stable as I can inside there. So if Naki tries to do that exact same thing, he's just going to try and push me over, and I'm just going to try and keep my weight. So I'm not moving my shadow. I'm not adjusting a lot. I'm just keeping my weight exactly in the middle there. So as he tries to move me around, I'm nice and heavy. But if I start panicking and doing stuff and trying to move around, all of a sudden, I'm going flying and stuff happens. So the first part of the drill, so I'll utilize the other people in the room. So you can grab a beginner, please. All you're going to do is I want you to make that shape. So you're going to turn your arm in to protect your elbow. So I don't want it out here or locked out. Nicely turned in and slightly bent. Toes on the mat, one knee up, and you're just going to maintain a shape like this. And that's it. And all you're going to do is try and focus and keep your balance inside your weight. And the other person is going to be underneath you and is just going to try and send you over the top. Person who is helping, don't go nuts. Give them a chance to, if they go flying over, if you fall over your edge, the reason being is that your weight has left your shadow. So you should be able to repeat it afterwards, like if Naki does sweep me over. So he manages to push me around and I go this way, I can then go, I know my weight moved too close to the edge here. I'm going to keep it in the middle. So now he tries again. I then go flying. Okay, so we're going to start on the ground because it's much safer, and then we're going to build to standing. So does that make sense? So we'll grab someone who's done something already. All I want you to do is just keep your balance and not fall over. Make sense? And they're going to try and make you. And then when you're happy to, swap. So all you're going to do when it's your turn to try and send them over is, you're just going to put your shins underneath in between their legs here, like that. They're going to make a shape, and you're going to try and use your legs and trap in their arm or whatever to try and send them over an edge. So I'm going to try and sweep them over, I've sent him over. Now he's going to try and keep his balance, and I'm going to try my best to send him over the top. Cool? Nope, never going to happen. Okay, makes sense? That's the first part, and then we'll move to standing and not falling over. So grab a human, and that's all this first part's going to be, is just keeping your balance.
I find this way of explaining balance fascinating, because balance is probably one of the most critical skills in Jiu-Jitsu, and from these next few shots, you can see it's pretty easily transferable, even to brand new people on the mats.
Right, time. We'll progress it a little bit, because that already worked. So we're going to progress it a little bit more, so putting a little bit more resistance. Part of doing this as well, and like the reason I asked you to swap, is it's side effect training. So the more your partner gives you resistance on stuff, the more you're going to try and like make it happen for him. As in, if I try and make sure that Abbas has got a better balance, I need to be a better partner and try and find a way of getting him over. The side effect of that is I get better at sweeping people over. Does that make sense? So it's almost like backwards learning. Is Abbas is trying to keep his balance, and I've got to try and figure out how to take his weight over that edge. So I'm looking where this line is, and think, right, I need to get his weight over that edge. And if he's keeping his weight very central, I've got to now try and find smarter ways to do it, which is not complex. He's making a shape, and I've got to try and push his weight over the edge of it. So I'm going to try and think of other ways. Maybe go over here, and push, block it. Chain stuff together. Yeah, life gets harder. But I've got to figure out how to be a better partner for him. So by side effect, I get better at sending people over. So you're both working in and gaining, doesn't matter what position you're in. Does that make sense? So it's not just like one person keeping their balance and you just being a dead weight on the floor. You're getting better by trying to assist them over. And this is where it's going to make more sense in this next part, is I want you to do whatever you can to send them over. Okay? Just figure a way to get them over. If you need to get up, get up. So if Abbas is here, I'd figure a way of getting him over the side. So I want to keep his shadow and move around as much as he needs to, but I'm going to try and send him over. But I can start here, doesn't mean I need to stay here. So if I manage to like create some space and get up and try and push him over this way, I'll get up and push him over, okay? So it's not just using my legs anymore. If I can get up and like send him over, I'll try and send him over. But the way you do it remains the same. I need to push his weight over an edge. Does that make sense? So again, grow the resistance over time. I don't want to just go nuts, balls to the wall, and try and kill him instantly. We're not going to learn anything there. But as soon as something happens and you actually succeed and you actually do send them over, repeat it. Get them to fix what just happened. Make sense? And we'll talk about how that's working afterwards in the next break. Cool? Any questions? No, swap. Yeah, always swap, yeah. So have a few goes each, then swap. Swap when it feels good.
So the purpose of this section was to get them into the idea of not needing to stay on the floor and just push someone over with their legs, but also now put the emphasis on coming up and wrestling someone over. This also adds an extra stress test on the balance aspect, which feeds nicely into the next part.
So a lot of this, again, it seems ridiculously obvious when you say it out loud, but I guess something you just don't really think about on a daily basis. So there's a concept called the bottom leg, and the bottom leg is how we stand up. So if I'm just flat on the floor here, unless I'm Dracula, I can't just rise up straight. I have to turn to a side. So if I want to get up, I turn this way, and I get up. Not complicated. As soon as I turn onto a side, I get something called a bottom leg. So that's my bottom leg and that's now my top leg. So whatever leg is closest to the ground is my bottom leg. So right now, that'd be my bottom leg. Cabosa. If someone has my top leg and they hold on to it, I can still square myself to the ground and get up. Yeah, he's still got hold of my leg, but at least I can get myself up. If he has hold of my bottom leg, I can't get up. Like, I can't pull that through now. I can't right myself unless I change what the bottom leg is. Now I can get up. And so, if I want to stop someone from being able to get upright, I need to control their bottom leg. And as someone who wants to get up, I also need to make sure they're not on my bottom leg. And so in that exact same situation we were just in, is I'm going to try and like roll you over, and as I lift you slightly, you get a bottom leg. And if you move your bottom leg, it's going to be very difficult to throw you around. So if Graham's on his back in butterfly here, so as he starts to lift me, this becomes my bottom leg. If I can move that bottom leg out, he can't throw me over if he doesn't control it. But if he finds a way of controlling it, so if he blocks it somehow and then he moves me, yeah, now he pushes me over the edge and I go flying. Does that make sense? So I need to control that bottom leg as I try and push them over. So this next part is you're going to try and get up. And again, the person who is upright, you're not fighting back, you're just trying to keep your balance. I just want to explore this idea of the bottom leg. Like what happens as you come up and you just grab that far leg. So I'll show you what I mean. So it's not necessarily, you don't have to stay on the floor and just use your legs now. So here, so for example, I want to send Graham over this edge. So I want to try and shift his weight over that side of the shadow. So I start to lift, I look at that leg, I come up, and I try and control it and put him down. And now I can rotate him over. But as you saw, he was like edging that leg out a little bit. And I was like, oh, this is difficult to send him over now. But as soon as I got it and pulled it in, he went over. So I don't want you to resist too much. I want to explore this idea of like, oh yeah, that's really important. Like if someone has that, I fall over. If I don't have that, I can stay upright again. But then once you've played with that idea, I'm still going to spend a little bit of time on this so you can feel it, is it's the same for me trying to get up off the ground. So as you saw there, as I tried to then send him over here, I had to get rid of this. I had to pull it through to be able to do that. If he was just to control that leg, I wouldn't be able to get up. Like he could kneel on it, for example, and I put something on it. Now I'm stuck. He's got my bottom leg and I'm done for. It's that easy. So this understanding of like, again, it seems so ridiculous to say it to adult human beings, how you stand up. But the idea that something so simple can affect your ability to stand, and like you could be held down against your will just by someone affecting one leg, and you wouldn't even understand why. That you could easily change it just by going the other way. Or you keep getting put on your ass and again, you don't understand why it happens. So just feel that idea of like being on the floor, same kind of situation. You've got the butterfly and you've got the person who's on a tripod. And as soon as you start to tip them one way and they start to get a bottom leg, which is as easy as that. That's now my bottom leg. Whatever weight is more load bearing and I'm going to get tipped over. So try and find it, try and control it. Again, just don't try and be too aggressive. It's more exploratory and see what happens. And go, oh, okay. Like, I need to be able to keep that autonomous. I need to be able to keep freedom over it. Otherwise, I will just be put on my ass all the time. Cool. Feel it out, and then we'll carry on.
It really is as simple as it sounds, but the bottom leg does enforce the idea of how you would want to get up, what you're trying to protect, and what you need to isolate on the other person. And now because we've introduced the idea of breaking balance and pushing someone towards an edge of their shadow, they can then follow up with a full wrestle over and gaining control on top.
So what I want you to do is, go by arch. You're going to start with one person on your back again. You're going to put the other person over. So they're going to be on the tripod again. I'm going to kick them over. They're going to let me. They're going to hit the floor. I'm going to come up. You're going to be in a random situation. That's why I'm doing it this way, not just starting with one person on the floor. So you're going to be random. Once his butt hits the ground, I want him to just get away. Fuck off, leave, run the fuck away, get to the other side of the room, I don't care. And I'm going to stop him. That's it. Okay? Again, keeping the idea of making each other better. But all I'm going to do is control his hips. And from doing this on the other 2 nights, when we did Stone and Shrewsbury, last 2 nights, people have a really bad understanding where the hips are. Control their pelvis and their hips. Not their body or their shoulders or their head, just their hips. Just grab them around the ass, that's all. And that's all you're going to do. Okay? So as that happens, I grab hold of his hips, and he's just going to try and get away. And I'm just going to make his life difficult. But he's just... he's just going to hold on to me. And it's so tiring. Because if he gets greedy and goes to my head and my shoulders and lets go of my hips, I can get up now and I can fight him back. If he can't get away, great. I want it to feel like... It should feel like trying to drive with the handbrake half on. Like you might get there, but your car's going to be pretty fucked afterwards. Okay? Like, again, power is a thing. If he gets to his feet, he's got more power. So I want to make that difficult for him. I want to make sure that he's carrying all that weight. If I move to his shoulders, so if I hold on my weight around his hips, stand up. Tiring? Yeah. If I move to his shoulders, get up. He's up. Right. Much easier. If he has access to his legs, he has access to his power. Like, I started rock climbing about 6 years ago because I thought it'd make me stronger. It didn't. Because what I found out is you don't climb with your arms, you climb with your legs. And you hold yourself close to the wall with your arms. But the power's coming from down here. And I'll be at the rock climbing gym with Jiu-Jitsu t-shirts on, and there'll be guys in there going, oh, I heard Jiu-Jitsu is really good for strength, like arms and grip. I'm like, no, it's crap. Because the better you are, the more you use your legs. And so we're both almost like the Spider-Man meme, staring at each other, like pointing and accusing each other of being Spider-Man. Like, no, we're both shit. And so I want to limit their legs as best I can. So don't go for the head, the shoulders, or anything like that. You just go put the weight for the legs, and then feel how that is. It sucks. And then just do it when you grab hold of the shoulders and get up, and see how much easier it is. And that should then inform you where you're going to put your efforts. On the hips. But again, not the stomach, not the chest, not the shoulders. It gets really tempting. Here, the pelvis. You should feel close to their dick. That's all I need to say. Okay? Feel how that is. So you go do that sweep, you go over, you come up, and then as soon as you get up, they're going to try and get away, and you're just going to stop them by mauling their hips down. Do that a few times, swap over, and then see what happens when you go for the shoulders, and see how different it feels. Cool? See what it's like? Off you go.
This is where it really starts to get interesting. I've so far set up the concepts that I want and allowed them low resistance environments to explore the ideas, but now we are making it more into a game, using what we've already learned and then going further into what constitutes control and where I want them to focus their control efforts going forwards. As you can see, they are already attacking the bottom leg and using that to then gain dominance over the hips for a pin. Meanwhile, the person on the floor, to make the game more interesting, is trying to get that bottom leg out and get away.
So, I'm not going to really explain this next part, but the same kind of rules still apply. Is that when I get to my feet, I have a lot more of a narrow base. So, looking at the idea of like the shadow coming top down again, is I have a very thin strip between my feet. Okay, that's my base now. It's very thin, and if I was to go this way, over the back of it, or this way over the front of it, I'd fall over. Or if someone was to block here and push me over the edge of it here, I'd lose my balance. And what we're going to do is same thing again. So how you let your partner do a sweep. You then try to hold them down. You're now going to let them up, okay, to their feet. And then you go put them back in the floor again, okay? Please be aware of everything around you. Like, you're not trying to like murder each other again. Just try and find a way of putting them back on the floor. Person who's then upright, keep your balance. So, I've got this right. Side sweep knack. I'm going to try and hold him down, but I let him up. So I've got contact with his hips. He gets to his feet. And I've got to try and find a way, while I've still got contact, to put him back down again. Just using his hips and his legs. So again, see where that shadow is? How can I get him back over his shadow? And then hold him down. Let's keep myself upright. So I'm not slamming him. I'm not picking him up in the air and putting him on his head. I'm not throwing him. I can pick up a leg maybe. So repeat that same part. He gets up. I can pick up his leg and try and get him back down. Okay? But I need to figure out a way of getting him floor. But again, as you saw there, it was a very nice return to the ground. I'm not dropping him hard, okay? Not yet. Okay? And as soon as he hits the floor, I've then gone back into that same situation, controlling the hips, keeping my own balance. Make sense? So I'm kind of leaving it open for you to figure it out. The rules still apply. How do you get their weight over their shadow? You're still maintaining contact with their hips. You're still maintaining your own balance and not becoming a victim. But how are you going to make this work? Cool? Be mindful of everything around you. Off you go.
One of the questions I used to hear was, if we are so focused on standing up, how do you teach wrestling and takedowns to beginners? Well, you don't start from standing. Going back to how we started this, I framed Jiu-Jitsu quite heavily in the introduction of each class about being the person on top. But to get there, they had to understand the principles of balance, getting off of the ground, and what could limit their progress. By making it exploratory and at times mildly game-led, they not only started to understand what they needed to maintain safety, but gain dominance over the other person. In this final drill, we are putting all that together, interrupting balance, controlling the hips, returning someone to the ground, and continuing that control on the floor. All of this from random situations created by a mildly game-led approach, with a partner creating honesty in the system by trying to maintain their balance. Remember, for a lot of these people, this is week 1.